Hey, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Brittany Roszczek. I'm going to be sharing with you how easy and simple it is to make green smoothies, and it will be life-changing. Make sure you stay to the very end where we answer all of our Q&A. Bye, guys.
Yes.
Perfect. You guys, I'm Brittany Roszczek, and I've been teaching about healthy living, green smoothies, and really diving specifically into depression and anxiety for the past 15 years. So I'm really excited to talk to you tonight about some of the research and some of the practical how-tos with green smoothies. I gotta say, this class, I've only taught it one other time online, so teaching online is new for me with this class, because if we're in person, I will get my smoothie out and we'll demonstrate it, and I'm gonna make it and I'm gonna share it with everybody, and it's so delicious and fun. So your job is now tomorrow or even tonight to make yourself a green smoothie after our class, whether that's in the morning tomorrow or tonight, because I want you to have some experience with green smoothies and get started on it and put it into progress. I promise I'm going to share some recipes that taste really good and just some practical tips. All right. So let's jump right in to our class tonight. So the first question is, why are we even talking about green smoothies? Like, what do they have to offer? What's the point of them, right? So green smoothies, there's a lot of research into not specifically like green smoothies, but all of the different things that you can put into a smoothie that makes it very simple to get a wide variety of different things. All right. So green smoothies allow us to get high density nutrient foods. So like low in calories, but high in nutrients, right? Those are our fruits and vegetables. And then some of them are high in calories, like our fats and our nuts, like avocados and things. But again, super high in the nutrients. And so what that then does for us is gives us all of these health benefits. When we're eating a lot of highly nutritious foods, we get things like decreased depression and anxiety. And I'm going to share tonight, as we go through some of the ingredients that I put into my smoothies, or you could put into yours, what those specific things are. All right. You're going to see that green smoothies can help support a healthy digestive system. You're getting a lot of fiber, and that's helping your body to make the digestive system run more smoothly. Also, the fiber helps with depression and anxiety because you need that for a good, healthy gut microbiome. You're going to support like healthy weight or weight loss. Your immune system is going to be supported. It's a really great gentle detox, depending on what, again, vegetables or other things you're putting in there. You can choose specifically some things that can help detox, even heavy metals. You're going to see improved skin clarity. So if you're having a lot of breakouts or lots of splotches and things like that, you are going to see a difference in that. One of the things that I really definitely notice is increased energy. Again, this is because you're getting lots of good nutrients into your body. And they can also help balance your hormones. A lot of the things that we put into our green smoothies. Of course, cancer prevention, because we're talking about adding extra greens, fruits, veggies, that kind of stuff. And then again, it's just really simple to get a high variety of those things. You guys, if you have questions, pop them in the chat. Jeanette will kind of monitor that. And if she sees one that she can't answer right away, or that would be pertinent for us to answer within here, then we can do that. So really quick, there can be some issues with green smoothies. And I wanted to first go over the troubleshooting. So the first thing is calorie intake. So when you're making a green smoothie or any kind of smoothie, it can be hard to know, sometimes people aren't adding enough calories because maybe they're really trying to make that like their whole meal, but they only add fruit and a few vegetables. and it's not enough calories. Or on the flip side, they could be adding tons of calories. And if you're trying to lose weight and you're adding 4 tablespoons of peanut butter, that could be a problem. And so one real quick thing that you can do with this is if you took the food that you're going to put into the blender and you set it out and you asked yourself, like, if this was a meal that I was going to eat, like this cup of berries and this spoon of peanut butter and this banana and this handful of spinach, could I just eat this in one meal? And if the answer is no, then you might want to cut it back. Or if you're like, I would probably still be hungry, then you might want to add in, you know, some avocado or something like that to add more substantial. Does that make sense? So the second thing that can happen with green smoothies is people aren't really making them green. They're just making them with orange juice. Okay, or just tons of fruit and lots of juice. And this is the problem when we go to like shops, right? They are catering to, we want to make these really sweet and super delicious. And a lot of times those smoothie shops are not really giving us healthy things because they're going to have a disruption on your blood sugar levels. Okay. And so I try to avoid smoothies that are only filled with fruit, and especially that have like a bunch of fruit juice and things like that. And more focus on things like adding more vegetables or berries that can help balance out blood sugar levels, things like that. And definitely adding in nuts or other protein sources. And then the last thing is too many oxalates. So oxalates are found in lots of leafy green things and even in some of our fruits. And some people can be sensitive to these and can get too many. And so one of the things that I do with this is you can rotate out what kind of like greens you're using. So like we could do just spinach, and then you could do kale, or you could do spring mixes. When my garden's going, I just use greens exclusively from my garden, and it's not even spinach. I use a couple different heirloom types of lettuces, and I freeze them, and then I pop those into my smoothie. The other thing you can do is you can steam or lightly cook some of your vegetables, and that will help to reduce the oxalates too, and make it easier for digestion and things like that if you're finding that it's at all difficult. So, all right, any questions so far, Jeanette? Are we good? I don't see here. So someone else can look in the chat if we've got any questions. Is this making sense?
We're not, yeah, we don't have any questions, Brittany, and it's making perfect sense. So yeah, keep going.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, my internet's not super stable, so I just took my my video off. So keep going, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just fine. Okay, so let's get into like, these are the rules and tips, okay? And this might seem really simple, but these are like the most important rules for you to have. The rules are, one, you must like the way your green smoothie tastes, all right? And two, it must be fairly easy, like the routine of it or whatever needs to be easy enough that you'll want to implement it. If it's really difficult and hard, you'll have a hard time implementing it and sticking with it, because I'll just tell you, having one green smoothie in your life is not going to give you all those health benefits that we talked about in the beginning, right? But having a green smoothie every single day for a year, 2 years, 3 years, for your whole life, whoa, you are going to have so many health benefits. So that's where the easy and the liking it becomes the most important thing. Does that make sense? So to make sure that it's easy for you, here's a couple little tips. One, make sure you have the right tools. So for me, one of the right tools is having a good blender. Now, a lot of people aren't ready to invest in a super high-powered blender. I like the Vitamix, and like specifically this one, because I don't know why. I just really like the plunger. It's like that little stick that I can push stuff down and around it. There's a ton of them out there, and you guys, there's some that are like the bullet, even the little ninja bullet, and it like screws on the top. we were just gone for a month and we stayed at an Airbnb and they had that. And we figured out it works pretty well. And we have to mix up our greens first, but they can get mixed up. And so having the right tools is just a decent blender. Does that make sense? One thing, if you don't have a high-speed blender, is you can blend your greens with some liquid first and then add in fruits and nuts and all the other stuff after that, okay? The second thing that I found super helpful is I have made like a little dedicated area in my kitchen, and it's my smoothie making station, all right? Up in the cupboard, and then next to it, I actually have this little guy. So this, it looks dirty because there's just powders. I'll try to show you better. This is my little, and I'm going to explain what the little powders and stuff are, but sometimes I'll switch things out in here. Like we'll have nuts in here sometimes or different seeds, but this is like something that makes it really easy for me to just take my little scoop it out and put it into there. Does that make sense? So having like a little station or an area where you keep the stuff that you put into your smoothie. So in this same area, I keep like our dates and our hemp seeds, our chia seeds, our flax seeds, all of that stuff goes in this little area. And then it's easy for me and it's easy for anyone in our house, my kids included, even our 6-year-old will get out the stuff and work on a smoothie. And then the third thing that I have found super helpful is that I tie it with another habit. So one habit that our family has is just reading in the morning, first thing in the morning together. And so we tie, my husband will read and I work on making the smoothie first thing in the morning while he's doing the reading aloud to the kids. Obviously we pause when the blender blends up for a minute, but then we all sit and drink our smoothie during that time. And because we already had the habit of reading together, it was easy to tie in the habit of making the green smoothie with it. And so when we can tie another habit with it, it's going to be super powerful. And most often it's going to be, you know, eating or drinking or something that is just a natural thing that you're going to do every single day. Okay. So how do we make a really delicious, amazing smoothie? The first thing we have to do is we start with what I call the base. This is going to be where you're going to get a lot of your really good nutrients to begin with. The things that are going to help with like bone, it'll come to me in just a second. Helping with bone density, helping with anxiety and depression, all of these things, your mixed greens, your spinach. I've got a little area where we've got celery chopped up or carrots already chopped up, and we put them in there. So I start with the base, and I usually do like a third of my smoothie will be those mixed greens or whatever kind of base you're starting with. And then I'll add something in to help usually sweeten it, because remember we said we need to like it. So I found for myself, I can have a smoothie now that's just straight greens pretty much, but my kids still want like a banana or pineapple thrown in there, something sweet with it. Does that make sense? And if you're just starting out and are new to green smoothies, you too will probably want something sweet in there. So it might look like less greens to start with and more fruit, but you know the end goal is to gradually get to more greens. And one thing that I like to do that I find is crucial for things like adding bananas or peaches or pineapple, any of that stuff, I like to make sure that those things are frozen. So what we actually do when our bananas start to get like a little brown like that, just a little bit, you don't want them to be like green bananas. We just peel them. This is my 6-year-old's job, is to be the banana peeler in our house. And then we put it in just a bag. And he just peels them and breaks them in half and sticks them in the bag. And then we freeze that. And sometimes they kind of clump together and you can usually break them apart pretty easily. So then I know when we're adding it in, it's like a half to 2 chunks of banana. Does that make sense? And so we would freeze these, and then I can just pull those out as needed. So one nice thing about that is that you don't have to keep tons of stuff in your fridge, kind of clogging that up. Most of your stuff can be frozen, taken directly from the freezer, and then popped into your smoothie. I personally don't like warm green smoothies. I think that would taste gross. So even my greens, I like to freeze those too. So I'm just going to show you. Oh, I think I put my greens back in because I felt like they were going to wilt. But I have like a big bag that we get from Costco or whatever grocery store you go to, they have big bags of greens. And you can just pop those directly into the freezer and then pull them out as is and work with them frozen. So one nice thing about that is you're getting kind of peak ripeness with that. If you freeze it, then it's not kind of degrading like kind of rotting or degrading over time, having less nutrients because it's not as fresh. The freezer will store all those nutrients really well. And same thing when I'm doing a pineapple, I will chop up the core of the pineapple. In the core of the pineapple, there's nutrients in there that actually really help with joint pain or just inflammation in the body in general, but especially the joint pain. And so you can use all sorts of parts of the fruits or vegetables that you normally might toss away. You can pop those in there. For instance, the skin of a pomegranate also has a lot of good things in there that helps with inflammation in the body. And so those are things that we think of just kind of tossing away, but you can put in even a very small amount. Remember, we talked about one green smoothie isn't going to make a difference, but if you eat a little bit of that one thing, the little bit of the pomegranate peel or the little bit of the pineapple core every single day, that's going to have a really significant impact on your body over time. Okay, and then lastly, liquids. So there's tons of different options you can use for liquid. I mean, water is just a great option by itself. I tend to like, depending on what I'm doing, like an almond milk or an oat milk, but I make sure if you're not making your own, I like the vanilla kind, and then make sure you get unsweetened because I promise you don't need extra sweetness in there with the fruits and other things that I'm going to talk about that can help sweeten it. You don't want to add sweetness with the liquid that you're adding in. If you feel like you need extra sweetness or whatever because you're just not liking the way something tastes, you can add a little bit of juice, but I would just start with like a very small amount and then bump it up from there depending on if you feel like you need it more sweet. But again, that juice is going to spike up your blood sugar levels a little bit more. So just be cautious of that and cognizant of it. Okay, so that's our base. And if you just start with the base, adding in greens and some fruit and a liquid, you're going to end up with a fantastic smoothie right there on its own. But to give it an extra boost, let's talk about some of the other things that you can add in. So some of the things that I like to add in, we'll often do like a protein powder, just so that we can stay fuller longer. Fiber is one of my favorite things to add in there. So one of these powders in here is just a fiber mix, and I find that it really helps hold me over. So if I really wanted to have my smoothie be like my meal in the morning by itself, then that will tide me over until the afternoon. And another thing you can add in to really boost the nutrition of it is a greens powder. And that's going to give you a really wide variety as opposed to just like your one spinach or your mixed greens or something. You're going to get a wider variety with adding in like a pre-powder, if that makes sense. Another thing that I love to add in is nuts. So again, I talked about kind of our station, right? So I'm showing you some of the things. This is my flaxseed. For people struggling with depression or anxiety, brain fog, inflammation in their body, just a tablespoon of flaxseed every single day, because of the omegas that it has in it, is going to help reduce all of those things significantly. One of the other things that's going to be beneficial, I tend to add in walnuts. Again, they have a higher omega in terms of the nut, and it's going to be really powerful. I was going to show you my walnuts, but they're in this big jar, so we won't worry about it. But walnuts is super good, and you don't need a lot again. Just like a tablespoon, you can measure it out, maybe a quarter cup if you're making it for several people. And adding those things in is going to give you a really big benefit. So there are tons of different types of powders and stuff out there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I choose the powders that I do. And if you have one that you really like, then great, keep using that. I would just make sure that on there, you're making sure they don't have a lot of added sweeteners to it already. And you have to, it's not going to say sugar, right? It's going to have like all those sneaky kind of names to it, sucralose and all of that kind of stuff. And so really reading the labels and knowing how many grams of added sugar and natural sugars. And I tend to be a little more forgiving when it's the natural versus added sugars. And so I think that's great. There's a lot of protein powders out there now that have like erythritol and things like that. And they just are doing some studies coming out that erythritol might actually be harming brain function for older people. And so those are some of those things that like, they haven't been out there that long and now things are coming out. So I tend to stay away from those things. One of the sweeteners that I would say is probably more okay would be that stevia, because it's been out there for a long time. I know it kind of has an aftertaste, and that's one of those things that I kind of just have gotten used to over time, is just that flavor of that. And I don't taste it anymore. So your taste buds do change over time. So I was just going to show you guys, this is one that we use. Our family just prefers plant-based things. And so this is doTERRA's brand. And it's one reason that we use it, it's got the stevia as opposed to a bunch of the other things in there. And it's just really high in the protein. So like a scoop has 21 grams of protein. So we find this really helps keep us full longer. Some of the other things that you can do that are kind of nice. This is a protein or a peanut butter powder. So you can see it's just like powder in there. They've taken away most of like the fat from it and just left the protein part of it. And then it still tastes like peanut butter as well. So I like to use this too. One of my favorite go-to smoothies is like a chocolate banana peanut butter smoothie. So I really like that. And so let's go to some of our other ones. Okay, so we talked about base. We talked about adding in some extra things like nuts and seeds and how important that can be, specifically for depression and anxiety. Those are a crucial thing to get in there. And let's talk about some of the sweeteners. If you're like, it's not sweet enough still. One of my favorite go-to sweeteners is dates. So obviously make sure you pit them. I love, like, again, this is just from Costco. You can grab a big one of these and adding 1 or 2, 3 dates in there. I like the dates because there's still a whole, like you're getting a lot of the fiber and the nutrients that come from a date, but lots of added sweetness to it. You can add extra bananas or pineapple. Those are both very sweet fruits. We talked about the stevia and why I prefer that over a lot of the other alternative sweeteners out there. Fruit juice could be applicable, especially if you make your own juice, like if you juice your own oranges and things like that. It's going to be healthier than just, you know, right out of the bottle or concentrated can or whatever. But I would go very lightly on that. And honey could be another one. If you really like honey, you know, a couple of teaspoons of honey can really add a lot of sweetness. And especially if you've got like allergies or immune system things, there can be some good things in there if it's a raw source of honey. Okay. This is just a little bit about doTERRA's protein powder and why I like it. and why we've switched over to using that as opposed to a lot of the other ones, because we really researched a lot on which protein powders would be the best ones to use. And again, it was really important to me that we didn't have a lot of things. Like my husband is gluten-free, so a lot of the protein powders will stick in like gluten or soy or things that can be hormone disruptors and things like that. So this for me was super important and helpful. Okay. And so figuring out which essential oil for you to try. So this is kind of my last thing. I like to add in an essential oil to kind of give it an extra boost of a health benefit. So there are tons of combinations to try. So if I were you, and I would just maybe like screenshot this little image right here, because you can see which of the essential oils can help with things. Jeanette, really quick, is it gonna pull us off if we've been on for more than an hour?
It probably will. Whoops. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
It probably will. So if you want to, if you're almost done, I think we should be good, but we're really close to time, I believe, with how
Okay.
they've updated their new stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Well, screenshot this really quick.
If you have questions, start chatting them in right now. So, but yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
Okay, and we can also just restart this link back up because I've got a couple recipes and things like that to add into this. So some of my favorite things, I love adding peppermint. So they actually have peppermint beadlets. They just come like this, and they're super easy. They're like this little tiny bead, and they can just pop right into there. So it's really easy and convenient to put in there. Some of my other favorite ones to just add extra flavor is like vanilla and orange oil. And they're also going to be really good for detoxing your body. Ginger is going to be good for your digestive system. So one of the reasons we add essential oils is because they are more potent than the regular thing on its own. So like wild orange on its like orange essential oil is going to be more potent than getting an orange on its own in terms of its immune boosting benefits and things like that. Okay, so take a screenshot really quick. This is one of my favorite. Oh my God, it's gonna work out there. This is some of my favorite recipes. So grab a screenshot really quick of this one. I'm trying to get rid of that thing. There we go. That's better. My mint chocolate chip smoothie top. It's like my favorite. Anytime I make that for anybody, they're like, "This is amazing."
It is amazing. It's like a peppermint patty. It's literally so freaking good. So yeah.
Super addictive. And if I like sweet tooth or something like that, that's my go-to. You know, if you're like really love ice cream or something, it's got me off of ice cream every night. Okay. And then get your greens in. I especially love adding avocado. Again, lots of really good healthy fats for your brain and can help reduce inflammation in the body. And then my other one, I told you guys I love like a chocolate and peanut butter and banana smoothie. And it's just, that's our easy go-to morning smoothie for most days. Okay. And then if you really like tropical kind of smoothies, so Lainey, maybe this is one that you're gonna really like your pineapple green smoothie. I personally don't add in a lot of yogurts and stuff, but a lot of people like them, especially if it's like kefirs or things like that, to add in extra probiotics. Things that I would add in every single time, like chia seeds or hemp seeds are another thing that we add a lot into things. And hemp seeds have like a very mild taste. It might taste like a little nutty to it. So we will add that in. The kids like to just blend up bananas on their own. And that's like a really big treat for them. They call it banana ice cream. We add in like 4 or 5 frozen bananas. And then we add in our hemp seeds and a little bit of almond milk and blend that up. And then they'll dip fruit in it or they'll just eat it plain, and if that's their favorite. You could add chocolate to it. You could make it flavored a little orange flavor with an orange essential oil. So that can be really fun. But I definitely find that adding the oils kind of takes it to the next level. With all of these, like adding in, like it kind of replaces that need for a fruit juice, if you will. Like if you add in your 5 drops of orange essential oil into this like wild tropical smoothie, you don't need a bunch of fruit juice on top of that. So, okay. So lastly, if I know we've got some new people, I don't know if everybody's been introduced to essential oils, but and you're curious or want to know more information, we would love to chat with you. You can talk with the person that invited you or reach out to myself. And I just wanted you to know that it's super easy to get essential oils into your house. So the person that invited you, or you can look at this QR code. This they can send you a QR code. It'll get you a free account with doTERRA. Just add whatever oils you want, and they're shipped directly to your house. It's literally that easy. And then you can be part of our essential oil community. We hold these monthly workshops and a bunch of other continuing education to really help support you in your wellness. And that's really a big passion of ours, is figuring out what we can do to help support you. We want people to feel good. We know that when people feel good, they can do good in the world. And that's our mission and our goal. So on the side here are just some other things that the essential oils can help you with. Things like sleep, things like tension in your body or pain. I've been amazed how many times I've shown people, I just had my neighbor actually, she came over, she's like, I have tennis elbow, what can you give me? And we put deep blue on it and frankincense, which helps with inflammation, and the deep blue helps with pain and kind of takes that away. And within 10 minutes, she's like, I feel like a different person. Like she was in a lot of pain. So those kinds of things to me are just, they're little things, right? But being out of pain can literally be life-changing. Having your immune system be healthier and you're not getting sick all the time, that can be life-changing. Feeling better emotionally can be life-changing. As I was going through this, I was looking at some of the oils that you might add in for specifically depression and anxiety. Some of them are ones that I'm like, I don't think they would taste that great in a smoothie, but they're ones that would be super important for depression and anxiety. I just want to add them into my smoothie because they don't really taste good. Does that make sense? But things like frankincense essential oil and lemon balm, I was just reading a study on PubMed about how Melissa oil or lemon balm is used, and it had just as high of effect as antidepressants in helping people, and significant results over the placebo. That's super powerful to have something that's natural, that's not going to give us a lot of side effects, to help with depression and anxiety. And the same thing goes with the things that help with inflammation in our body. Rather than going to a lot of things that could have more side effects, I at least want to give everyone the chance to try something more natural and see if that will be a better solution for them, if that makes sense. Okay, you guys, I would love to open it up to questions. We're still all on, so I don't know, I guess it didn't cut us off. I'll go ahead and stop the screen sharing. Pop on, I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of your favorite things? And if we still have a couple minutes, I will share with you guys how my parents do green smoothies, because it's different than what I do. So I wake up every morning and I have a routine where I make a green smoothie every single morning. My parents get together and they have like green smoothie parties, okay? They'll invite a bunch of people over to their house and everyone will bring some stuff, and they will spend like 4 or 5 hours making green smoothies.
We should clarify, that's like freezers full of green smoothies. Freezers.
So they will get.
Okay, Brittany, 1 second. Yes. You had a comment on here. Can you share your first slide of the benefits of the smoothies?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So so they'll fill these up a bunch. They'll mix everything all together. And they put in a lot of different herbs and things because they've kind of researched out like cinnamon lowers blood sugar levels, right? And that was one of the ones on that slide for the essential oil. So they'll add in a lot of cinnamon essential oil into their, mix that in with everything. So they kind of add everything in. Their palates are like, they could eat anything, I feel like now, and it tastes all fine to them. So this is what we would call like the advanced green smoothies, if you will. And because they add so many things in there, they'll add mushrooms, they'll add tons of chopped up vegetables and things, because they add so many different things in there. For them, it's not easy to pull out every single thing that they would make up and then put it into the smoothie every morning and blend that up. It would take them 20 or 30 minutes to pull everything out. And so what they've found is for them, it's easier to blend it all up, and then they freeze the smoothies, and then they can just pull them out as, you know, every day as they need them, like the night before they put them in the fridge so that they can use it. And so there are a lot of different ways that you can implement, again, the green smoothies. When I had really little kids and time was like a crunch in the morning and wasn't like nice and peaceful like it is now, I would actually make my green smoothies ahead of time in these bags. I would put all the ingredients into a bag and I would meal prep like a month's worth of green smoothies. So this would be filled with like my nuts, my spinach or greens, bananas, like any herbs and that kind of stuff. And then I just leave my essential oils by the smoothie so I could add those in right then. And then I could just dump the whole thing in and add whatever liquid and then blend it. And it would take a minute or two. So if you're one of those people that has like a super time crunch in the morning, then that might be the way you go with it. Does that make sense, you guys? And that's super powerful. I think someone else was asking about showing kind of this. Is that what someone was saying? Take the slide down so we can see her station. Okay, so this is just like, I've just added in again a bunch of my like powders in here. And there are tons of different little things that you could add into, but I found it to kind of be, it was a barrier to me to using like my fiber, and it's silly, but I didn't want to open up the package and then reclose it. Is that kind of ridiculous? You guys ever feel that way though? Where you're like, that's one more, if you're doing 3 bags or something, then that's going to be a lot, right? And so I was finding I wasn't doing that. I just wasn't using the powder. And so this was, I just take the top off, I put each of the things in, and then it's easy. So again, it goes back to that point of like, let's make it super easy and simple for you. Okay, super good question. Do we need to let the chia seeds soak before putting it into the smoothie? No. In fact, your chia seeds are going to break apart in there and they're going to do just fine. And what's interesting about chia seeds, you're getting the fiber benefits of them when they're not broken apart, when they're not like chopped up, but you're not getting like the essential fatty acids from there, like the omegas and things like that, when you don't break them apart, or when they're not broken apart, your body can't really digest them, so they'll just come out and your poop still little seeds, right? And so you want to make sure that, when you're eating the chia seeds, it's going to be broken apart. So if you guys see there, Ed is showing, thanks, Ed. This is our dad, Ed, and he's showing this is his quart. It's still frozen of his green smoothie, and that's how he does it. So couple of things, and another thing you could add in is like pumpkin seeds to help handle depression and anxiety, things like that. So I'm finding, I don't know about you guys, but a lot more people are struggling right now with some of those, I don't know if it's just been the weather or whatever, but feelings of anxiety. There's a lot of outside sources, a lot of commotion and stuff. And so I try to do as much as I can at home that will help support my body being happy, right? Um, and adding in more vegetables and more fruits to your diet is definitely going to do that. So you guys had some really awesome questions. Thank you so much. Put in the description, are people already doing a lot of green smoothies? Or what is your barrier to starting to do green smoothies? Why haven't you implemented it yet? And maybe we can troubleshoot a couple of those things. Has it been that you haven't had the right recipes, or you just haven't really known about it? It's not in your routine yet. What are some of the obstacles getting in your way?
I think for me personally, it's just like you said, not making it simple enough and not having it. It feels like I've got to get all the different things out. This from the cupboard, this from the refrigerator, this from the freezer, this from the, oh, I don't have that. So that kind of got me out of the habit. But my big struggle right now is my son being 12 and on the spectrum, and we give him, he does not have a problem vegetables. Like that's the only way I can get any veggies in. And then I put all of his, he's got like a powder, kind of a brain powder thing that I put in there, and we put all his supplements and stuff like that all go in the smoothie. And just being a really picky kid, to me, it's like I would much rather do something more natural for him. But it's just getting the buy-in from him, right? Because Bolt House does have more fruit in it, so it's more of liquidy. I don't know the thicker smoothies. Like I made a smoothie, if it'd be too thick. So I'm just trying to figure out that way to kind of make it more of a juicier smoothie, I guess.
Yeah, so that's definitely where you start out with more juice, right? Because you want it to taste good. And even though, like, obviously I don't recommend long term that we do tons of juice, short term to get his taste buds on board with at home smoothies, totally start with the juice. Like adding more juice. You can always make it more liquidy. Adding some water, that makes it more liquid. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you don't have to have a thick smoothie. You can make it whatever type of texture you want. I'd also maybe not put in initially like chia seeds and flax seeds, because that will thicken up fairly quickly in there. But eventually you can add that in. And then the other thing for buy-in is when we set the example for our kids, they see that, right? So you're not making smoothies every day, and then you're like telling him, okay, we're making,
Oh, he loves his smoothies. Like he's like, that's his thing. But it's just like, he's just been so used to the store-bought smoothie that we add a bunch of other stuff in, and it's the green smoothies. Like he has no problem with the color. He has no problem with any of that. I just know a traditional green smoothie that I make is going to be a completely different taste. But I like your idea of kind of doing more what those brands do. They don't make naked anymore, but the Bolt House he likes, and maybe putting some spinach in there, but then putting the other juices, the apple juice, whatever it is, just to kind of get him into the fresher taste of that, but not being a thick smoothie. I hadn't thought about that.
And then the other things that I would do is we create buy-in around letting our kids create in the kitchen. So you can pull out a ton of stuff and say, I wonder if we could recreate what this kind of tastes like.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of things would you put in there? I don't know. My kids get excited to like be in the kitchen and creating, and especially if it's their creations, right? They're so much more likely to eat that or have that. So getting buy-in that way, and you can, I don't know, if he's open to, obviously every kid's different. So I could sit down with my 13-year-old and tell him, X, Y, and Z, why we're not wanting to buy those things. Like it's more expensive and they're really not that healthy for us, right? Like we want to switch over to something else. But if I told one of my other kids that, they'd be like, I don't care, I like it. You know, so
That's mine.
yeah, that's your good. He's like, no, that's my thing. I like it. So somehow if you could even gamify it. So we're having a competition between me and you. Hey, who's going to make the better smoothie today? Right?
Yeah. I like
So
that.
all of those kinds of things, just start to get creative. Like we get stuck in a little box, right? Everybody does this too, but if we can, okay, let's get out of it. What if it was possible, right? Let's get creative with it, those kinds of things. So thank you for sharing some of the roadblocks, because other people have those roadblocks too. So thank you, Amber. Someone's asking where I purchased the naked peanut butter, the PB. I got that at Costco a while ago, and you need to be cautious because they have one with sugar and one without sugar. So make sure you're getting the one obviously without sugar. You don't need extra sugar in there. They probably carry it, like, I think you can get something on Amazon or something like that too, some other places. So awesome. This is great. Are there any other questions, you guys? Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. I really loved teaching this tonight. And hey, thanks so much for staying to the end. You guys, you made it through. If you want to grab my recipe booklet with all of my favorite smoothies and a couple of my other favorite recipes that are super healthy and delicious, make sure you subscribe to my Tip Tuesday email. And then I would love if you want to subscribe to my channel and hear more healthy living things. Thanks so much, you guys. Bye-bye.